Hello, and welcome to Off the Track, a podcast talking about all things F1 in schools. I'm Peter Russell, and with me today is Michael Walker.
Hello.
And Ben Galvin.
G'day.
Today, we're going to be talking about the Continental Finals. So, if you don't know, the Continental Finals were first announced at the 2018 World Finals, as F1 in schools plans to expand it into 70 countries over the next 3 years. Regional international events, as they've been called, are to be established in the Americas, the Middle East, and the Asia-Pacific region, although the timeline for this is unknown. The top 3 teams from these events will then progress onto the World Finals, which will make it very interesting, as some teams will be competing in up to 5 finals over the course of one season, which is definitely the case in Australia, and leaves the question, well, many questions in fact, one of which is, will teams experience burnout? So what do we think? The Continental Finals or the Regional International Finals, whatever you want?
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense. For anyone who's been to the Worlds in the last 4 years or so, it's getting bigger and bigger every year. And, I mean, the venue we were at Singapore in 2015 was packed. Any more teams, and it would have been a struggle to fit them all in, I think.
How many teams are going to be at this year's World Finals? It's the biggest ever, isn't it?
Yes. So I believe I thought it was 55.
Something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams competing this year. And judging from what I've seen on the F1 Schools World Community Facebook page, there's a lot of first-time competing countries as well.
Italy being one of them, I saw.
Yep. And I think there was another one that's going to be starting next year as well.
Ooh.
I can't pronounce the name of this country at all.
Azerbaijan.
There we go. That's the one.
Yeah. Yes, so that's in the Middle East. Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but I'm concerned. When it says Americas, what's happening with Europe?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, how many countries from Europe actually participate?
Greece,
UK,
Italy, UK,
Germany. A number. Yep, Germany.
That's it, isn't it?
Oh, there's probably a few others we're missing.
I don't think there are.
And I've got the team listing right here. Cyprus, Greece, Germany, Greece, UK, Ireland, which is partnered with the UK.
They send their own team though, so
yeah.
Scotland as well, pretty sure.
Wales, yep. Scotland,
yeah.
Germany. I think we said Germany 4 times now.
So there's only about 5.
Yeah.
Countries.
But even then, like the Americas, what have you got from there? You've got Mexico.
Yeah.
America, United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Does Canada do it?
Canada used to do it. I don't know if they still do it.
It's been a while.
Is there a Canadian team this year, Ben?
No, there is not.
No.
There is not. Oh, okay. Wow, that's surprising, eh?
Brazil as well. Yep.
Brazil, yeah. Is there anyone else from America?
Not that I can see, no.
Because I would think the Americas would get grouped in together, because from what I can see, you've got 3 distinct regional finals that could go on. You've got the Australia-Pacific region, which is obviously one of the biggest regions for F1 in schools, because it's got Australia and all of that in it. Australia being one of the biggest countries for F1 in schools. You got the Middle East, which has quite a few teams coming out at the moment, and you've got the Americas and Europe as well. I think if we group them together like that, it would provide an equal playing field for all involved in those to then go up to the world stage. But it also means that the competition level, I think, at the world level will be less. I think it will be much more competitive at the regional level than the world level. The world level will be the best of each regionals, right? And I think it'll be a lot more consistent how good those teams are compared to national finals, because you look at countries like Australia, we have, I think it's the most podium finishes and the most world champions in the world, and we just have a really strong base in Australia. but you look at countries like the US and Germany, right? Very first world countries like us, but they don't do as well. I don't think you'll see that kind of division as much from regionals to worlds. And I think it will put a lot less emphasis on the world competition and a lot more on the regionals, if that makes sense.
But will we see the standard of competition dilute? Because teams are going to have less time to prepare for each event, obviously, unless the season is extended, more than a year. Because obviously, teams are going to have, 5 months at most from a national final, or less even, to prepare for a regional. A regional international. And then after that, another 3 months to prepare for a world final.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another issue we're going to see happen if this is put in place is some countries may become obsolete in the long run. Like with how Australia is competing at a world stage, us being put in the Asia Pacific area, I'd be curious to see how other teams in that same area would go and how big their representation will be on the world stage.
Yeah, because if you take in top 3, if you look at all of the countries from the 2015 Worlds, you take the top 10, 3 of those were Australian, right? So that's 30% right there. And I don't think many of the others in the top 10 were from Asia Pacific. I think a lot of them were European. I know 2 of them were German. One was obviously the German-US collaboration that took out the World Finals. I think the rest were from, I think there was an Irish one. I think a couple of UK teams in there as well. But I don't think there were many from the Asia Pacific that get in that top 10 ranking at the Worlds, right? And so it would be concerning to see Australia getting top 3 every single one, because then you'd get Australia at the Worlds every single year, and I think that could disenfranchise some of the other countries in the Asia Pacific region.
Yeah, and they definitely want to keep it fair for everyone involved.
Yeah.
I think I can see them doing something like wild cards probably at that level, or like ensuring at least, one team from every country gets to go to the World Finals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have any solid details on how this is going to pan out.
This is all speculation.
Yeah, we should have a lot of this is speculation.
But it is pretty ambitious. Like, they're trying to get to 70 countries over 3 years. That's huge.
I think it does invite for more collaboration teams, and especially more international collaboration teams.
Yeah.
If this was to happen as well, because I know a lot of teams who do compete together, like internal collaborations. I know here at Ascension, we've been pretty good with Penrith because we've known them for several competitions in a row now. Peter, I believe you had a similar experience with Infinitude.
Yeah, we were really, really tight. We just got along with each other. I imagine it's even, better for you guys because you're intrastates. You can meet as much as you want. So that's brilliant.
Yeah. I think if we were to see that Continental final occur and have more international collaborations going to Worlds between these intercontinental finals, we might see stronger collaboration team representation on a world stage.
I'm not sure whether you get collaboration teams from regionals, though.
Which region? Regional, international, or regional?
Regional, international. Like, it's not something that I think they do at the regional, international level.
Well, we don't know yet, do we?
Yeah, like I it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me to take teams that have done well in their own right on the regional, international stage, like wildcard teams in collaborations up. Yeah, I could see that happening in collaborations, but then the time question comes into it again as well. Because
they'll have less time to get to know each other, etc.
Because I saw it happen with international collaborations with Odyssey. It certainly makes things more difficult to get things done. That's not to say that you can't win, because obviously at my Worlds the US-Germany collaboration won. And I believe Horizon was international collaboration, weren't they? Not Horizon, Aurora.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were Australia, Germany.
Yeah, and they did really well, didn't they? Second.
Yeah, second
Yeah.
place.
It's like narrowly beaten by Hyperdrive, right?
I think it was just over 10 points
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and so it was a very close loss, but I think you can still get that quality, but I don't know whether they would do collaborations just given the constraints we've talked about, but it's an interesting idea to expand the season up to 24 months. That would
that's the other option. You could avoid all of this if the season was expanded, made longer, maybe 15 or 24 months, which would also open up the possibility of bringing a little bit of variety to the location of the World Finals, so the organisers could hold it at another point in the calendar, possibly earlier in the calendar, in the F1 calendar, which would be interesting. Instead of hosting a World Final in the final quarter of the year, they could host it at the start of the year, which would be interesting.
And another thing that I think is going to be interesting is that with the regionals, we're finally going to have international teams flying into Australia at some point. I'd say there's a good chance that you could have a regional finals in Australia. And that was something that was probably never going to happen with the Worlds because Australia is on the other side of the world from a lot of the teams.
Well, unless the season... Well, also because the Australian Grand Prix at the first race of the season, that was never going to work.
No.
But if it is a 15-month season, then there is the possibility that it could happen.
But I mean, all of this is speculation. We haven't got anything confirmed yet. I would not be surprised if we don't get more information at the World Final this year from our...
Yeah, hopefully they announce, further information.
Yeah, especially with the exponential growth of the competition, and we're already seeing this 3-year plan being put in place with, like we mentioned at the start of the podcast, places like Italy being introduced into the competition this year. To inevitably reach that expansion to 70 countries.
Yeah. Obviously, they're going to have to put this in place pretty soon. Otherwise, the World Finals are going to be just, massive. 55 already. I remember the 2016 World Finals. That was nowhere near that big.
It was 47 at 2015.
Yeah.
Oh. So, it's... I mean, you look at it in 10 years ago when this started... I think this amount of teams and this amount of countries was a twinkle in Andrew Denford's eye, And I think it's grown. It's good. It's good that the competition's growing. The more students we get involved, the better. I learned far more from F1 in schools than most of my school subjects, I'm going to be honest.
Absolutely.
And it's just something that is a great experience, whether you make it to Worlds or not, To make it to the regionals will be the new Worlds, that's one of the levels that you should strive to achieve no matter what, I think Worlds is going to be a much more rarefied stage. I mean, obviously it is, but I think its prestige is going to still be there, but I think there's going to be a lot more prestige at these regionals as well,
Okay.
I think they're going to mean more than the nationals do at this stage, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is that they're going to start sharing the limelight, Worlds and regionals. I think. I think they're going to achieve the same amount of, well, not the same, but they're going to achieve similar amounts of publicity, especially with back home. When you got the news articles about people winning World Finals and that kind of thing. I think regionals is going to be very similar to that as well.
Absolutely. Well, something else I was thinking of is money. Obviously,
yes,
the big,
fundraising for F1 is not easy, and to have to fundraise for another event, possibly flying overseas, flying your pit display overseas, that is a lot of money. And then on top of that, if you make it to the World Finals, you have to raise that money again, even more, possibly.
Yeah. I think that was a massive issue that was faced at the 2018, if I'm correct, Australian National Finals, is that we held the National Finals in Tasmania, and there was just not enough support for the teams to raise such a large budget to travel down to Tasmania and have everything freighted over. So we saw a lack of Western Australian representation I think there was only 2 South Australia teams in the professional division, and even less so in Queensland. I think, and also in terms of Abu Dhabi, it's not cheap at all.
No.
And I know our projected budget is certainly quite the cost for a competition. If we had to raise that twice, I don't think we would be able to compete.
It's very costly. Unless, again, speculating again, you didn't have to bring a pit display, because that would save a lot of money.
That would. Or even if the season was once again expanded to that 24-month period, I think that might be a bit more doable.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they proceed with implementing the regional international finals, if they do indeed go to a extended season, because that would solve a lot of the issues we've just mentioned.
I think it would create some of its own, though, as well.
It would, yeah.
Of course.
Not just with like running state and national competitions, but students potentially like missing out or starting the competition and not being able to finish it before they leave high school.
Yeah,
because if you've got a
that's a good
2-year
point.
cycle, that's like that could be, if they start in year 10, like they'll be in year 12 by the time they finish. At least in Australia,
Yeah.
like it's something that you'll need to start younger years at. I know at Brighton, cadet teams were a big thing. We always sent 1 or 2 cadet teams to the state finals. I don't know about your schools. Do you guys do cadet?
No, we don't.
No?
We recently sent, I think, 3 cadet teams to our regional finals, and one of those cadet teams actually made it through state finals. And I think that was the first time we actually had a cadet team at state finals in, as far as I can remember.
I should clarify, South Australia does not do regional finals. We're
Yeah.
not that big.
Neither does Victoria. I think it's only New South Wales and Queensland.
Yeah, that would make sense. A lot bigger. A lot
And a
bigger.
24-month or an extended season would also make it harder for schools to support the competition, because students would be missing out on an enormous amount of coursework.
Yeah.
They had to compete at possibly up to 5 finals. That's a lot of
It
time
is.
out of class and spent, doing other F1 in schools activities, flying around the world, etc. So,
I mean, I don't think that's the biggest issue with it, to be honest, because you
No.
have similar things with sports and that kind of stuff.
but do sports, is it continuously for 24 months? That's the thing.
Yeah, no, but
Obviously, it repeats, over and over again.
yeah, but
Seasons, but
a lot of sports will have the same effect. Maybe not within 24 months, but over the entire duration of their schooling.
yeah,
It will be more compressed with F1 in schools, but with the 24-month season, it'll be you do it once, you don't do it again. You don't do a Luke and go back to the World Finals again.
yeah.
So basically, I think it will be maybe a little frustrating for teachers outside of F1 in schools that their students are leaving class, for 2 weeks in a 12-month period if they make it to Worlds, But I think it'd be worth it, to be honest. Like,
Absolutely.
the skills you gain,
Oh, yeah.
you don't get taught sitting in a classroom.
No, it's those soft skills. They, no matter what sort of area, what sort of role you're doing in F1 in schools, you learn soft skills that are transferable to any industry.
Another thing with the expansion of the period is, how are they going to run it annually if that is the case? Are they going to start a new season every year that will last 2 years? Because they'll just increase the amount of overlaps within the season. Because I know the Australian season, I know at least for us, we overlap with the state finals of New South Wales. So it completely bypasses regionals as well. And I'd be interested to see if we're going to have a World Finals every year still, or is it just going to be a World Finals every 2 years?
And consequently, would you have, state and national finals every 2 years? That is a big gap as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions. I'm sure it would make.
Hopefully we get answers soon.
Yeah, hopefully. hopefully.
In only 22 days. Good luck, all teams
22
competing.
days, yeah.
Indeed.
And if I were you, listeners, I'd be looking out on our social media pages.
Nice segue.
I know for updates on our activity surrounding the World Finals. We have plans to make a podcast before the awards dinner. I think is what we're aiming for at the moment, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how tired you guys are and depending how run down I'm going to be.
Yeah. So stay tuned on that front because there may or may not be a live stream, and that live stream may or may not consist of only me because Peter will be asleep.
It's going to be at 3 a.m. here on the Australian East Coast. 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I'd love to wake up.
I think I could convince Jesse to.
Jesse would be awake.
Jesse and I think could. Maybe we'll get James in on it as well.
Oh, James would be awake.
Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely. All right. Well, we'll keep you peeps updated about that. But for now, thanks for listening to Off the Track. Of course, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And don't forget, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review. It really helps to spread the word. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give us a review and follow us on Instagram at Off the Track Podcast, or visit us at offthetrack.net. You guys have anything else? Any other closing words?
No.
No.
All right. Well, we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.